Hello, my creative collective. Welcome to your creative unconscious reading for April 16th. I don't know why I'm singing it, but I just thought it would be I thought it would be a nice intro. So we're gonna dive in momentarily. I'm just gonna say as well, happy full moon in Libra day. I hope that you're finding yourself doing things to take care of yourself in any activated energy, and also taking care of that tender and beautiful heart of yours, giving yourself the utmost compassion. And just really letting the things that come to light and that might emerge during this full moon in terms of emotions or things that people do or say, just remember to keep yourself in balance, right? You're so loved. You're so loved. And it might be really important to remember that. So creative unconscious, let's do this. Okay. So I would like to invite the angels, my guardian angels, my spirit guides, protectors, teachers, and their healing energy to this space. And I ask that it is a safe and brave space that allows for the fullest expression of our light, humanity, ascension, and healing. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Spirit. Okay, so let's dive in. We're going to do our creative unconscious reading. Spirit, can you give me some creative unconscious messages for my creative collective for April 16th, please? And thank you so much. So we have the 10 of Wands, the 5 of Pentacles, the Page of Cups, and we also have the 6 of Swords. I'm going to pull one more here. No. Okay, that's fine. I got a little bit ahead of myself. I was like, I'm going to do one more. Let me just make sure that I have this candle lit here. It's just a little thing I get funny about. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much, Spirit. Okay. So for this spread, we have the 10 of Wands. We have the 5 of Pentacles. We also have the Page of Cups. And then we have the 6 of Swords. I'm hearing breaking point. So breaking point, just literal translation of the breaking point here. But I almost feel like there's a way that you're either reaching a breaking point through this Libra full moon, or there's something that you're done feeling broken about, right? Like you're pouring out the cup. Like you're like, no, forget it. So let's dive into this here. I think that things that you've kind of been ignoring, it's just the need to release whatever burden that you're carrying that's kind of making your heart burn and making it hard for you to see clearly, right? Like when your arms are around 10 wands, it's really hard to see very clearly. It's hard to see things clearly. We just can't do it. Can't do it. And I think this 5 of Pentacles is there's a certain continuity, and a certain continuity. I almost get that your faith was broken about something about your faith breaking. Your faith has broken, but it wasn't necessarily beaten. I think that this full moon is an opportunity to release cycles that are over and that you're done with, and kind of understanding that what you thought might consume you fully doesn't necessarily need to at all. Like that's not how you need to bring about an ending. That there's a way that broken faith is like, I think that this is kind of the shadow piece that we're working through, right? Like there's an element of broken faith where you're pouring out from this cup. And it can be hard, 444 on the time. So I do think the angels are with you. I think that the hard part though is the fact that you're pouring it out almost as a refusal. Like someone handed you the cup and you're saying absolutely not. But it's not because you don't want it, it's because of the Ten of Wands. This could be you're tired of a situation. But I think the shadow part here, based on the swords and wands, like all of the elements are accounted for here. So none of them are particularly dominant or louder than others. But I'm almost getting that there was something, some way that you were carrying these burdens and you're releasing them, number one, with this Libra full moon energy. But I think that you're also with this Page of Cups vibe. I think that what you're kind of doing right now too is there's an emotional stability. Emotional offerings aren't the same when you lose faith in something. And I feel like this is like losing faith in an institution or losing faith in like an organization or some kind of like body of knowledge. I just heard. Yeah. It's been some rough going, eh? I'm really feeling that for you, my creative unconscious. I think the shadow is sort of looking through what it is that makes you reject cups that come to you that are full. Like, what is it that pushes them away from you? And this Six of Swords is kind of the leaving card, right? This is sort of the leaving behind. The leaving behind card. And I think this is you really putting your armor down and putting your weapons down. I think that the swords, you're realizing that this is a way of being. Swords are a way of being right now in this instance. And I almost feel like the shadow work has been to emplace your faith in the right places, put it back in yourself. And I think that this Six of Swords is really a great reminder that that you don't have to carry wands or swords or armor, nor do you have to carry this sort of pain from losing faith in something. Yeah, let me pull from the to clarify this. I'm going to pull from the traditioner. Yeah, the traditioner Rider-Waite tarot. Oh my gosh, the traditional. Let's do that. Traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck here. Spirit, can I get some clarification on these wands, please? And thank you so much. These 10 of wands that were a burden that we're putting down. 8 of swords. So I think this is like, to me, patterns that are showing up. Ways of thinking about people and things that you need to release. Not just patterns about like, I think about this is how I approach the world, this is my belief. But this is really about perceptions too, right? Perceptions that you had about different organizations or systems. And then the Hierophant is here to confirm that that's the case with the systems and organizations piece. Yeah, very much so. Can I please get some clarification on the Hierophant here, Spirit? If we had our faith broken, how are we returning it to ourselves here? The Sun, joy, leaning into joy. This is beautiful. Very straightforward reading. But it's like when you suppress your joy, that's what sort of puts a pause on the healing, right? And, leaning into your joy, what does that mean? Well, it means if the sun is out, recognizing that you want to go for a hike or a walk. It is, finding a book that you've been wanting to read forever. And, for me, it's going to the library to get it and curling up before I sleep with a book, right? It is finding time in my day to just take for me and listen to, motivational speeches on YouTube or, doing tarot for myself and other people. Like that fills my cup, right? That fills my cup up. Yeah. I think that all of these things are profoundly important. But joy doesn't necessarily come banging down our door, right? Joy is very unassuming at times. And I think that that's where we get these foundational pieces of self-care that factor into our healing. And we really have to work to let them in sometimes. Spirit, can I get some clarification on these 5 of Pentacles, please? Knight of Pentacles. I almost get that there's new things that are coming in to replace the old. These aren't the same systems, though, because these are kind of built upon what you're putting into place for yourself. Sort of putting into, you're putting these things into place for yourself. Seven of Wands. I don't think people. I feel like people might feel a bit defensive about this, but it's just part of the cycle that's ending. Like it's part of the cycle that's ending, right? You're stepping into an element of your power. 10-10. I feel like you're showing up as the Emperor mentally. That's why when the King of Pentacles showed up, it's like an element of your power. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth of how you've been carrying the burdens, right? They've been keeping you, they've been denying you access to different parts of your power. So this shadow that you're working through is really about freeing and liberating yourself so that you have happiness accessible, so that you're not going from this Page of Cups, dumping them out, right? Like imagine showing up at a party and being like, no, 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 and just dumping out all of these cups, right? When they're your happiness. And it's like you're finding these reasons to doubt every tiny speck of happiness within you. You're finding these reasons to doubt it. And so instead of letting love run the show, letting joy run the show, letting stability run the show, letting your authentic truth run the show, your fear is running the show, as are your kind of impulses, right? The shadow impulses, that like they are a kind of truth, but they're disconnected from your high priestess because it's the Knight of Swords here. So the Knight of Swords is really like it's a connection, like it's a truth, but is it as connected to spirit as it might otherwise be, right? Spirit, can I get some messages here on the Knight of Swords, please? Just one more clarifier on the Knight of Swords. Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, there's a way that like I get that it can be really like it's not shadow work and doing the work is not sexy, but the rewards are really promising, right? And it's not about just doing this work today or in this reading. I think it's also about moving through letting this kind of inner child running afoul of what is really peaceful and what can bring you real passion and love. And not just love, but companionship, like partnership in the truest sense of the word, right? Partnership in the truest sense of the word. Spirit, can I get some clarification on this Six of Swords where we're kind of walking away from defense and I'm hearing tiny acts of war every day. Tiny acts of war every day. Six of Pentacles. I'm hearing the Lover's card. 6. Mercury, possibly. 7 of Swords. I almost get that you're by getting rid of these tiny acts of war that you do every day. Like I'm hearing white lies that you tell yourself or lies that you tell yourself about what's actually happening and how balanced they are. I'm getting that by stepping away from these things, by stepping away from these little acts. And six of Wands. So that's like the sixes galore here. 6 of Swords, 6 of Six of Swords, 6 of Wands. But that's still, there's an element of you overcoming this for sure that I'm getting. But these little acts of war, like the white lies that we tell, you know, the truths that I think of these as like truths that might be, but that like they're truths that we take from ourselves, that we prevent ourselves from speaking in this instance. And when we are in those acts of war, we really prevent ourselves from being able to experience this 6 of Wands, this liberation, right? We're really stepping away from that idea that we have to fight like hell just to get an ounce of the sun on our face, right? And I think that could be institutionally handed down. It could be an institutional inheritance more than it is something that's made by you, that you made, that you decided, that you planned. I'm just going to pull one more clarifying row here to move through. Spirit, can you clear that energy, please? It's just the tiny acts of war. Like I'm envisioning, it's like argumentative people, pettiness. Like it just, ugh. Thank you so much, Spirit. Just grounding it out. Ugh. there are ways that you can articulate your truth. This is coming through. So I'm going to stop right now. There are ways of articulating your truth. You can articulate your truth through the Seven of Swords because you need to earmark something. It's like putting a stake in the ground with a flag, but instead of a flag, you're holding up a sword because it's not something that is really authentic and indicating to other people that there's a truth that is being told. That there's nothing that unifies you. There's no collective energy in it that brings it together under the banner of something. These things are ways that you really end up stealing from yourself. These are the truths you're not telling yourself, the things you're keeping from yourself to protect your inner child, because your inner child needs protection from the people that did not give to it initially. So you relied on tiny acts of war in order to move forward. So you relied on these tiny acts of war against yourself, and then called that successful. Spirit, can you just clarify that for me? That is wild. Yeah. It's sort of like success rushed. Like it wasn't like there's the waiting period is waiting period is tough. I'm hearing waiting period is tough. Yeah. But the Ten of Pentacles is here, as is Justice. The Magician, too. So I'm going to put these down here. How about I do this? That feels more like the vignette down here. That is the story to this. So we have the Six of Wands. We have the Knight of... Let me do this here so you can see it. We have the Six of Wands. We have the Knight of Wands. We have the Nine of Wands. And then beneath that, we have the Ten of Pentacles, Justice, and the Magician. So I think that this is really like two different ways that we're seeing that you have been accustomed to manifesting, right? One is like to your detriment, where it's like, this is what you thought worked, right? It's what everybody told you was the way forward. And that's the institutional inheritance, right? That's the sort of, the way of doing things that everyone else does, like the status quo, right? But that's where it's like your faith is broken, and not like it's your faith has kind of been misplaced a little bit. Like you're placing your faith in kind of the wrong things. So this fiery passion hasn't really been directed towards something that you enjoy or that you love. It's been directed towards protecting yourself. Saturn is here to say, like, it's if you want it to be over, it can be over. Right? If you do not want it to be over because you benefit from it, well, you probably wouldn't be watching tarot on YouTube or these videos. But there's a way that you've benefited from how hard it's been, and it's okay to let that go, I think. Like, it can be this easy. Like, it can be that easy in exchange. You don't have to rely on these stories and narratives. Swords are, I'm hearing as well, swords as stories you tell yourself about success, stories you tell yourself about giving and receiving, and it puts you into these tiny acts of war. And that I'm thinking of in the context of A Course in Miracles, where defense is the first act of war. I'm thinking about the ways that we berate ourselves. That is an act of war against ourselves, and then it becomes an act of war against other people, right? The Lover's card just came out. I opened the deck to shuffle it, and the Lover's card came out. And underneath the Lover's card is the Five of Pentacles. So like these choices, right? Choice to heal or choice to be in a state of lack. I'm just going to pull two more cards here before I move into the oracles. Two of Wands and the Emperor. Yeah, I'm seeing you as this. This is how you're coming out here. This is how you're emerging from this. This is, this I'm seeing is like a timeline. If you want to do the work, and if you are putting the work in, I feel like you will be stepping into your power. You'll be stepping into your power. You'll be stepping into stability, and all of these things will be happening in service to your highest good, right? These are things that you're manifesting and that you're calling in, right? These are things that you're calling in. Wish fulfillment, happiness. But I think first we have to move through the shadow of the stories that we tell ourselves about not only what success means, but that it has to be difficult, that it has to be hard. The Seven of Swords is really, it's really loud as like, it's the things that we take from ourselves, right? I did a meditation for calling your energy back from other people, once the energy is over and done with. But it's also about what happens when you call the energy back. Amazing. You work on healing the places where it was not connecting before. Excellent, right? 1919 on the time. You do all of that work, but there's also this narrative piece, the stories that you tell yourself and the way you talk to yourself, that has to change too, right? That has to change too. So I'm going to pull from the Miracles Now deck by Gabrielle Bernstein. It's kind of my go-to, my go-to. Spirit, can I get some messages for my creative collective related to the Miracles Now deck for this creative unconscious reading for April 16th, please, and thank you so much. Releasing anger from the past sets me free in the present. Yeah, and I think about these harmful stories that we tell about ourselves are really, it's like anger turned inward. The times that we didn't get to declare boundaries when we were kids, the times where we couldn't say yes or no to what we truly wanted, we turn that anger inward, right? We turn that anger inward, and that's where we start to get into things like guilt and extreme fear. So releasing anger from the past sets me free in the present. Absolutely it does. I'm going to pull one more. I pray before I pay. Yeah, before you invest in thoughts about yourself, really give it a second. Ask your higher self, is this in my highest good? Number one. Number two, does this honor me? Does this honor my divine self? Does this honor the inner child, that tender place within me, that vulnerable place within me? Or is this just in order to appease the Seven of Swords? Is this in order to appease this Six of Wands, Knight of Wands, Nine of Wands, like these energies of defensiveness? How is this working, right? Just do a quick check-in with yourself, with your higher self, with spirit. Make sure that it's aligned before you move forward, right? And so I'm going to pull from the chakra deck here just to kind of put a cap on this. Both? Okay. So I have truth and you are safe. Excellent. This is beautiful energy. Truth, right? These swords as truth. These swords as like you're putting down these acts of war against yourself. Six of Swords and the Seven of Swords, right? You're putting them down because they're not serving you, and you're seeing that there's this other way of giving to others and yourself, right? You don't have to be so mean to you. You don't have to be so mean to you in order to get things done. So truth. It is safe for me to align with and express my higher truth, wisdom, and knowing. I allow others to hold a different perspective to me and know that there is enough space in the universe for all of our truths, including my own. I am honest with myself and hear the resonance of truth in my words. I express my truth. That's my roommate's cat. He's in the hallway and he's very upset. He can't come in right now, so... He's very hard done to. Two on the time. So this is the root chakra. You are of the earth as you are of heaven. Allow the greatest mother of all to nourish and support you. You are provided for in all ways. You are safe. You're safe. Remember that, right? Like when we're moving through cycles, I think that this is like the ultimate reminder of safety. Like you are safe. You are so safe. You are absolutely safe, my creative unconscious, my creative collective. You're safe. And I feel like when you step into that safety, you start to manifest like it's the truth, like it's a truth that you hold near and dear to yourself. 10 of Pentacles, Justice, and the Magician card. I feel like this is really powerful energy for you. In terms of signs here, I'll just go over them quickly. I see Taurus and the second house, that's Venus. I also see the sun in the fifth house, the world, Saturn. And I am also seeing Justice in Libra, which is more Venus energy. The seventh house, so long-term contracts, and then long-term contracts, long-term relationships, that they're both, to me, they hold the same power, because there's contracts in terms of like projects and creativity and finances, but I think of it as soul contracts, right? Then we have the Magician, which is Mercury energy, and we have Aries here in the which is the first house, and Mars. So this is pretty deep, I think. I think it's like a loss of faith, but a return to what's most important to you. I think it's important to remember that you're safe and that you didn't need to be, like, when you're angry at yourself, this anger turned inward, this upset turned inward into a Seven of Swords, right? I find that when we get into these places, and I've seen this with myself, with others, with others too. It's like when we're kids, we take in these messages about ourselves and we run with them, and we turn that anger inward because we're frustrated with ourselves for not living up to these really unreasonable and unreasonably high expectations that adults had of us. So we got into these people pleasing patterns so that we could soothe those around us. And I know as an empath, I do that a lot, where it's like I'm kind of in this place of wanting to help others and wanting to make sure that they're okay, that they're safe, that they have the freedom and space to tell their truth. So sometimes we can get into these people pleasing patterns where it just doesn't work out quite the same. When when these patterns carry into adulthood and beyond, and we don't heal the anger that we hold towards ourselves as little kids, right? And even when we're, preteens and in just youth in general, when we're in those places, we can really get locked into these patterns of feeling upset with ourselves, and you have to really release it. My darlings, you have to release it. You really do. So just remember that. And from here, though, if this resonated for you, I hope that it did. This is quite a healing reading. If it did resonate for you, please feel free to like and subscribe. I would love it if you joined me here on the channel. It helps me to grow the channel and kind of get found by others who might benefit from this content. And I get to do this, and I absolutely love it. It makes my heart sing, and it fills my cup, and I just really like connecting to spirit to give you this guidance. So yeah, if you want to connect, there are other ways to do so throughout the channel. So please feel free to dive into those. That cat, he's so upset. Oh my gosh. Sebastian, come on in. Anyways, so if you want to, feel free to like or subscribe. There are other ways you can connect with me, but if this is where we part, my creative unconscious, please do check out the channel. But I will catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for your time and your eyes. Wherever this finds you on the time, space, continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, I hope it finds you well in a space of healing and sinking deep into that wonderful and beautiful heart space. Have a great Saturday.